Welcome to Toronto, Canada, round 6 of season 2 of the ERL INDYCAR series. You can see the top 4 getting away from the line right now as they start the lap behind the pace car. 16 racing laps, that's of course not including the lap behind the pace car. We've got 3 drivers starting this race in the hard tyres. Off the line, however, Lil Buns will be starting this race on pole. The Ukrainian will start in front of the Romanian of David Kamno and championship leader Max Portkar in car number 29. Then it's a Nikki Yangirovich in her last IndyCar series start. Then it's Carson Thornburg, Dominic Hudson, Marcus Nelson, Elliot Deli, Evan Colby, Prix, Francis Austin in the first of the 3 hard time runners, TJ Davis in 3rd. Devin Butler will start 14th from Daf Sanchez and Linus Eriksson, who's also starting this race on the hard compound tyres. Then it's Ghosted, Nosov Micah, Daddy Sarah Carrera, Carlos Kynes, the last man on the hards, and then the 2 Revolution Racing drivers of Tommy and Hexel Mark. Bit of news coming in from the ERL. Pierre Gasly, he's going to have to find a new seat somewhere at the very least, because new Season 5 Formula E champion Ronnie Sola will be returning to the ERL, and the reason that we're focusing on Cam's Motorsport number 88 is because in the Formula E series, that's where Sola's headed. He will be partnering UK Ball to make it an all-British lineup at the British team. As they now head to the final chicane, Lil Buns, championship contender last year, didn't get it sewn up at the end. Well, he's still got a chance this season. He's got 21 drivers behind him if he wants to win today in Toronto. A race that was in fact quite important for the championship. Rounds the final chicane. Boogity, 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 let's go racing drivers! Heads through the first kink and then through the real turn 1. Feeds you out through 2 and up the hill. Already track limits further back for Marcus Nelson, his first warning of the day. Get 4 of those and it's a time penalty. So they make their way through the end of the opening sector, keeping it relatively single file, but still a little bit of a spread, because it's not that easy. And that's Hexel making her way up into 20th position. That's him up into 20th position for the Pakistani driver. Now next one to catch. Oh, that's late braking from Inoki. Gets past Max Portkar at the hairpin. Yellow's in the 3rd sector. 5-second time penalty for TJ Davis. Contact with the McLaren of Francis Austin as well. Seemed to be contact with Prix, which explains the penalty and the yellow flags. And Prix in the middle of that, just dropping down the order, it seems. No real pace for him or for Tommy, or even Carlos Kynes if you can take a look. And Hexel Mark moves up into 19th position, but has a time penalty as well. That's 18th in fact for the number 68. Marcus Nelson, time penalty for causing a collision. The mid-pack is, as always, absolutely insane. Portkar has put 4 seconds between him and Kamino, and when you take that much of a gap out of your own competitors in front of you, all I can think is Janet Andretti. That's intentional. That's for tyre management. Fastest second sector goes to David Kamno further up the road. And in fact, yeah, the top 5 are all pretty spread out. It's only once you get to Nikki Yangirovich in the 35, making her last stop in the ERL. It's only then when you realise, hang on a sec, these guys are actually going quite fast, and they are being quite racy. It's just not for high positions. Kamno sets a 1 dead 0.8. Portkar goes 33 hundredths of a second quicker. And you can see Salas sends it on his teammate Ghosted close to the wall there. On the old configuration, that would have been a slam dunk retirement for the 20, but with the new configuration, he's up into 16th in front of Daf Sanchez, who hasn't had a very good start. Wonder when the hard tyres will begin to really show themselves as the better race tyre. Should be soon, because 3 laps on those softs effectively, ignoring the first lap, and they're already in the 60s in terms of the percentages. They are going to have to pit quite frequently around here. And Canada always gives hectic races, I can tell you that much. But currently, everyone's keeping it quite clean and dandy and honestly a little boring. On board with the number 11 of Milsos Micah. Lap 5 of 17, started by Lil Buns, and you can see the pack, well, not really becoming too much of a pack. They are certainly fanning out, but Austin running into the back of Dominic Hudson and getting a 5-second time penalty for the 23. Gets closer, but not close enough to really try and make any advances. Still, on board with the McLaren driver, and Sanchez further back. Time penalty 2. He's defending from both Apex Pinnacle drivers. So they make their way into the second section now. It is really hard to just, keep your wits about you as around the outside went ghosted, but they're still side by side. As you can see, many drivers doing the same thing. This graining appearing on the softs. Look at Sanchez up into 15th. And the thing I'm most surprised by is the fact that they've all kept it out of the wall so far. A little bit of a concertina effect at the hairpin. Hines decides to take the wider line and might have dropped positions there compared to Sanchez, who's basically maintained 15th. Davis has dropped from 14th to 16th through that hairpin. In comes Lil Buns onto the hards. And on lap 6, we're beginning to see some interesting strategy moves. Off has gone Sanchez. We saw Prix riding the wall. He's got front wing damage. Contact with the Andretti driver, and the 72's got a 10-second time penalty, of which he'll serve in the pits. Nelson's coming out on the hards. That's going to be a bit of a struggle for him. And on board we are with Elliot Daly in the 38. In second position, Anok Yu leads the way, 6 laps on those medium tyres, including, of course, the first lap behind the pace car. Milsos's softs absolutely gone, and I've realised that both Sims drivers are still out there with the same tyres that they started the race with. That's not ideal. In fact, that's the polar opposite of ideal. They're going to want to do something about that. As Lil Buns going alongside with Francis Austin, this should be a very easy move for the Ukrainian to get 5th position, possibly even, and Hudson slowing, push the pass and active for the number 5, who moves up into 4th, but Hudson was slow heading down the straight. Have both Sims? No, we're on board with Colby, so it's Milsos who stays out. Tommy has had enough, further back, and faces the wrong direction. Front wing damage and a time penalty for the number 45. Might have been a collision with his teammate. Don't really want to hit your own teammate. And as one of the first rules of racing, never race your teammate too hard, I don't think. But more than anything, don't crash with your teammate, because that's just embarrassing. 10 to the white flag. 5-second time penalty for Lil Buns. Corner cut at the hairpin. For the man who started this race on pole, that's quite embarrassing to see, to cut a corner like that. Honestly, if you're going to try and do a long stint on the softs, I doubt it's going to work. Anok Yu stays out, but Deli has come in. Lap 8 of 17, and he's going to be the first man to get off of those hards, is my question, because we've seen drivers come off of the softs, we've seen them come off of the mediums, but as for the hard tires, they are running really well. 8 laps on the same compound for TJ Davis in the number 3 Prima Palatine car. If he can do 12 laps on them, then Lil Buns can make it to the end. That's a big if, though. That's one of the biggest asks that you could ever have. Currently, it seems like Buns is going to pit around lap 15, maybe lap 14. Just looking at Davis's tyre percentages, probably can extend it to the end of the race, actually. Car number 5 further up, but we're on board with the 3. Closing in on Devin Butler, looks to the inside line, into the hairpin they go as Lil Buns has taken the lead. That's Davis up into P6, and Deli right behind as well. And does Anok Yu come in? No. Yes, he does. Never mind. What am I saying? That's Deli up into... Wow. 6th position for Elliot Daly. That's the pace that you can get out of having pushed the pass as Sir Carrera further down the order, getting a corner cut warning. Another one for Daf Sanchez as well. Where's he in 21st position? He served his time penalty. Honestly, how hard is it to just keep it on the gravel, keep it on the track rather? Don't even touch the gravel, you'll spin out if you do that. As you can see, Butler and Austin coming out of the pits. That's a close pit exit, especially seeing where Quee was on track with some scrubbed set of hards, which might be able to make it to the end. If you've just come out of the pits on the hard compound on either this lap or on the last lap, making it to the end is a foregone conclusion. Ericsson and Kynes have both done 9 laps on the hards. So has TJ Davis, but you know what? I feel like he's beginning to feel the pain. 7-2, the white flag as Hudson moves up into 7th position, ghosted further back. Corner cut warning on board. We are still with the Prema Power Team driver. Heads through the chicane. Kynes gets passed by Devin Butler. And you can see as well, Francis Austin goes side by side with Davy Sir Carrera. Into the chicane they go. Still 2 by 2, but he has to let the KV Racing driver go by. And Bortkar is closing in on Lil Buns. I feel like I have to mention this about Max Bortkar. Not only is he the championship leader, but right now he's in the hot seat to try and take the win here in Toronto. Because Buns has a time penalty. Currently, if they were to finish like this, Bortkar would be taking home 26 points for the fastest lap as well. He wants to get this done on track. He's using both forms of push to pass. Heading down into the final chicane, goes side by side with the KV Racing driver, and Max Bortkar takes the lead in Toronto, Canada. On to lap 11 of 17 they go, 7 to the checkered flag, and Buns is not giving this up. 5 laps done on both sets of their tyres, and that is the Ukrainian taking the lead once more as Austin gets a pass done. And Salas Kynes is still out there on those hards. Colby's coming for his second stop. So maybe that's the plan down at Apex Pinnacle. I think his fellow hard tyre runners have both come into the pits. So Kynes is really trying to extend those tyres more than anyone else. If you can cast your minds back to the Indianapolis race in the Formula E series as Kynes finally comes in, you saw the hard tyre runners. They were doing effectively one less stop than everyone else. But even if they were to do that and get track position, if someone started the race on the hards and ended on the mediums or softs, and they were close to the hard tyre guys by the end, well, it's a foregone conclusion about who's going to make the pass for the win. It's even more foregone, especially seeing how much pace you get around that Indianapolis circuit. Around here in Toronto, I mean, it's a street track, effectively, so it might be one of the fastest street tracks on the calendar, but it's a street track nonetheless, so the flow can be broken, unlike in Indy, where the entire track is a flow. 5-second time penalty for Sir Carrera, corner cut. Carson Thornburg comes into the pits, puts on a set of medium compound tyres. The race leader and the man in 20th position share 2 things in common. They're teammates, and they have 5-second time penalties. And I guess they're also race winners, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about right now, how is Lil Buns going to play this one out? How much space can they get between themselves and Bortkar? Bortkar's actually not got push to pass, and he's not using the electrical one either. Those mediums are not holding up. Bortkar might have to pit. After 6 laps on the same set of mediums, he does pit. Softs are the way to go. Daly's made his way up into 3rd position and pits indeed with Camino as well. Colby cuts a corner and Lil Buns is in. Serves the time penalty. Could have done a few more laps. Could have probably gone to the end. And it's another stop and a set of mediums going on for the man who started this race on pole. The championship leader Max Bortkar now leads this race. You can see Butler coming out of the pits. That's in front of David Camino, looking back with the Power Motorsports driver. That's ghosted behind with the hard tyre strapped on. Not a lot of drivers are out there on the medium set tyres, on the soft set tyres rather. Time penalty for Camno for causing collision. Colby getting past teammate Micah, who's seemingly struggling out there with a puncture, rear puncture for Milsos Micah. The Polish driver on those hard tyres has got a puncture. Hudson gets past, and honestly, that's unfortunate. I could not envision that happening to any of the drivers. Into the pits comes championship leader Max Bortkar, and contact with Nelson. Out of the race goes Marcus Nelson. Wall riding and a full course caution. That is going to help Bortkar immensely. Soft tyres go on. Delhi is rounding the final chicane. I think Bortkar might maintain second. He does. He's got a 2-second buffer to Delhi behind as well. And not Q has to pit. Surely he's done 5 laps on those medium compound tyres. That's going to be so much work to do if he doesn't. Full course cautions end, and we are back underway. On board with Kynes, gets past Milsos. Tommy's going to get past. I don't even know if he's going to make his way to the Polish driver, who finally comes into the pits. And that's a race ruined for the Sims Motorsport driver, and a race ruined for the Hyperdrive Racing driver as well, of Marcus Nelson. He'd just come out of the pits on those softs. And honestly, the time penalty wasn't his fault. Lil Buns in 4th position, corner cut, chasing down Elliot Delhi. Started this race on pole, remember, did the Ukrainian, but as to whether or not he can make it to the end in front of Bortkar and or not Q, that's another question entirely. Hops over the curbs. I guess the race now is to see who can steal the fastest lap, and a not Q is slowing. And look at the state of those mediums. Delhi with a 2nd track limits warning. He can do 2 more excursions off the track and he'll get a time penalty. But if he does 1 more with the remaining 3 laps in this race, he'll be fine. A lot of sparks coming off the back of that. Chip Ganassi, so now rise up. Looking with the Andretti's is Butler, getting a 5-second time penalty for colliding with his teammate, I believe, Thornburg, getting past Colby. And who would have that collision have been with? I cannot tell you who. I just can't tell. Tommy comes into the pits. Bortkar is closing up. Lil Buns and Elliot Delhi go side by side. One of them's got pushed to pass, and that is Mr. Delhi. And Bortkar is now all over the back of the Power Motorsports man in front. Uses push to pass into turn 1. Has the outside line for 2, but covers it off. And that's Max Bortkar, championship leader, taking the lead. And making Andretti Green Racing very happy on the penultimate lap here in Toronto. Can they take their 2nd consecutive Drivers' Championship in the ERL INDYCAR Series? And Delhi still holding off Lil Buns, and it makes sense. Tyres quite similar. Ghosted's done 9 laps on the hard compound tyres, and it hasn't really benefited him. Tommy, on his own, on his lonesome, getting a 5-second time penalty for cutting a corner, so that's embarrassing. The 2 Prima Power Team drivers fighting over 11th position, and I think we missed the pass for 11th, made by Dominic Hudson, because even with push to pass, Davis isn't really making any inroads. And Ocu's dropped to 3rd. Lost 7 seconds, and Sir Carrera's had an off. Davy Sir Carrera has had an off and is facing backwards. Front wing damage for the KV Racing driver. Hexel Mark comes to the scene of the incident. A lot of weaving going on down there. 30% and very cold tyres. I'll add that in too. Linus Eriksson's also got damage as we're on to the final lap here in Toronto. Max Bortkar is at the fastest car all day. He has the fastest lap. And if there's any man to win this race, well, it's obviously the man 7 seconds in front of the pack. And Ocu's done 8 laps on the same set of mediums, and it's just not going to work out for him. Ghosted has done 10 laps on the same set of hards. Sanchez getting a track limits warning further back, and 24% tyre wear for Davy Sir Carrera. It's going to be very touch and go for him. And Bortkar takes victory. And 59-second lap time for Max Sport Car sees him take victory in Toronto. My goodness, he ran that final lap so quickly. That's unbelievable what lap time he pushed in for that. Tommy with the fastest first sector of anyone. But it is going to be Max Sport Car who's taken victory today. We missed him coming across the line, however. As you can see, the rest of the pack heading across the line, and Quee trying to get past Davis, just can't make it done. Will Tommy steal the fastest lap as Ghosted comes across the line with the longest stint? 11 laps on the same set of hards. As you can see, Kyle's come across the line. That's Milsars into 19th. Tommy doesn't have push to pass, heads through the final chicane, side by side and in front of Davy Carrera. No fastest lap, and the entire field are basically spread out across the lap. But Max Sport Car, championship leader, takes victory here in Toronto, Canada, in front of Elliott Delly and Lil Buns. The pole shooter dropped from pole to third, unfortunate for the KV Racing driver. Then it's a not queue. David Camno, Mikion Gurovic and Francis Austin. Niven Colby is 8th from Carson Thornburg and Dominic Hudson. Outside of the points, you have TJ Davis, Oyequee, Daph Sanchez, and Ghosted from Devin Butler, Salos Kynes, Linus Erickson, Nelson Micah, Hexel, Mark, Tommy, and Davy Carrera, with Marcus Nelson being the only non-finisher. Max Sport Car leads the standings, and he's 40 points in front of Ghosted. Then it's Dominic Hudson, Elliott Delly, and Carson Thornburg, separated by 2 points. Then Daph Sanchez in 6th, in front of Camro by a single point. Then it's Lil Buns, Francis Austin, Davy Carrera, and Milsos Micah. Then it's Devin Butler, Niven Colby, Marcus Nelson, Anokio, and Hexel Mark from Tommy, Quee, Erickson, Kynes, Gurovic, and TJ Davis, who has yet to score points. In the constructors' standings, heading into the 7th round of the championship, Andretti Green Racing lead the way on 137 points from Chip Ganassi and Apex Pinnacle. Then it's KV Racing Lotus, Power Motorsport tied with Lotus. Then Prema Power Team, Aaron McLaren SP, Sims Motorsport, and a tie for 10th between Revolution Racing and Dragon Penske. Well then, bit of a slow burner that one. A race that saw little action up front, but it was all done through strategy. I hope you'll be able to join us next time when the ERL INDYCAR Series returns.